going to put up Dr. Jabor's graphics in the order that we looked at them in the office to see if we got it right. Can I have item 50?
Item 54.
Well, here we go.
Okay, then next.
Take.
That shows that the lesions got not bigger. It's the same. There's 2 lesions in there.
And then blood flow. We're going to talk to you about these areas.
Yeah.
We're going to split this up, the segment.
All right. Well, let's get the doctor seated.
Come on out. Thank you.
Today on an all-new Dr. Phil. He says brain damage causes him to hit his girlfriend.
Are you afraid to be honest in front of him?
No.
You're talking a little like you're a zombie.
But does mom
Y'all had a conversation about some pillowcases.
play a part?
Let's use pillowcases, item 526.
I already washed the pillowcase.
You seem to go from 0 to screaming maniac pretty quick.
A lot happened before that.
What happened before? The house burned down? Tell me what justifies that. Like mother, like son. So you do this with him, then he turns around and does this with her. Boom, boom, boom.
I wanted to tell you another thing we discovered when talking to Rebecca. We were talking about the abuse, and she said something like, well, you know, he doesn't hit me in my face.
Like that's a good thing?
Exactly.
He just doesn't leave evidence. Go get him, dog. You've never had anybody working harder to bring you to the threshold of change than right now.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Phil!
One thing I've learned in 45 years is the brain is the most remarkable organ in the human body. It can do much more than just simply analyze data. Now, humans think tens of thousands of thoughts per day and experience every emotion using the brain. It's how we determine what is good, but it can also be the root of evil, with some people using their brain to commit bad behavior and violent offenses. Which brings me on today's guest. Dominic says brain damage is responsible for him hitting his girlfriend, smashing his own head through his bedroom wall, and having screaming matches with his mother like this one.
Are you insane? You are psychotic.
I already washed the pillowcase.
Wash them again!
So, is Dominic's brain really to blame? Does he have one left after that? His girlfriend's mother, Laura, says she doesn't believe that it's his brain at all, just that he is entitled and really thinks he can do anything he wants to. Take a look.
My daughter Rebecca is dating an aggressive, manipulative, pot-smoking boyfriend. Dominic has complete control over Rebecca.
Bro, why did you have to start?
I didn't start. They're clean. They're clean.
He treats her like a prisoner. He has isolated her from all her friends. Dominic has hit Rebecca 4 times that I know of. One time, I was on my stoop, and I heard screaming. I looked down the block, and he was pushing her. Another time, Rebecca came home with a swollen eye. She said she fell off the bed. I did not believe that.
My boyfriend Dominic is my first true love. I really do believe he's good for me. Our relationship is loving, but also he is very abusive. He's called me stupid, I'm a bitch. He has gotten physical and punched me in my leg. If I don't do something the right way, he'll go off. In January, we had a huge fight. He was like, don't make me do something that you'll regret, and he pushed me up against the gate. I did feel scared. I just don't think he knows how to control his anger.
I don't recognize Rebecca anymore. Rebecca has put our life on hold. She has dropped out of college, cost me $30,000. Rebecca used to dress very well, put makeup on, and since Dominic, she wears hoodies, sweatpants. This is not the way we do things in our family. Dominic has a lesion in his frontal lobe.
His parents have said that he has a brain tumor.
He blames the anger on the lesion. Dominic uses it as an excuse. Dominic's family is very dysfunctional.
When was the last time you tried helping me on getting a job? Never.
I don't need to help you get a job. You're 19. Dominic, you're so full of
Right.
You realize you're turning brown.
All that Dominic's parents do is scream and yell at him.
Ain't done a thing for 4 days. Least you done. Go.
I have a horrible feeling that if he doesn't get help, he will hurt Rebecca. I think their relationship is toxic. It needs to end.
Okay, you're concerned about her actual life, right?
Right.
You're afraid that this could escalate to the point that even by accident, he could really hurt her or even kill her.
Right.
There are times that you really get scared, right?
He starts screaming at me in my face. I just tell him to calm down, like, you don't need to do that. And he'll just snap back and be like, I'm sorry.
Can you see it coming? Can you feel it coming when he's starting to build?
Yes, he gets very anxious, and I see it most of the time when we're at his house. He's always anxious at home because there's always fighting and screaming.
You say you love him, despite the fact that he can get really volatile, violent. Now, you told the producer that you acknowledge that he has hit you multiple times.
Yes,
4 times in particular,
yes.
but never in the face.
He's just never hit me in my face. It was always he's pushed me up against the gate or he's hit my leg, my arm. Like he'll grab my arm and pull me or my hair.
Did you know he'd hit her 4 times?
Yes. One time I was on my stoop and she was screaming down the block, and I ran down the block with my car to go get her. And then another time, one of my neighbors came to my house, and he was coming home from work, I guess, and he said, listen, I followed your daughter home. I wanted to make sure she was safe because she was fighting with someone on the block, on the corner, and he hit her. So I told your daughter I'd take her home, and she didn't want to come with me, so I followed her home. That's how I know where she actually lives. And then another time she came home with the swollen eye. She said she fell off the bed, which
You didn't believe?
I didn't believe that. And another time, her friend told me that she saw him push her.
And why did you say you fell off the bed?
Because that morning I didn't do anything and nothing was wrong.
But you covered for him. You said you fell off the bed when.
Yeah, because she kept assuming that he hit me, but that morning he didn't hit me.
Well, how were you bruised?
I don't know. She kept saying that there was something wrong with my eye and this and that.
Like this eye?
Yeah.
I just want to know if you are fully cognizant of what is going on.
Yes.
You do realize this is abuse.
Yes, I do.
Okay, now, so who are we talking about here? Is this some kind of monster?
I admit that I have rage issues.
They're clean! They're clean!
I think it's because of all the verbal abuse I get from my parents.
Low life bastard!
I just see red. That's a hole in my wall that I put my head through the wall.
You're describing a cycle of violence here, and you guys didn't invent it. It's very well entrenched. It's definitely a cycle of violence. And Robin deals with domestic violence all the time. She works with women that are caught in this trap all the time. She's created a whole curriculum about this. And Robin, let's talk about this, if you will help me here. Number one, tension building, right? This is when it starts building up and the tension starts to rise, correct?
That's right.
You start feeling the tension, it's in the air, anxiety starts to build, right?
Behavior starts to change. Yes, you can feel it. You can see the abuser change his behavior in this case. starts changing the way he speaks to her, starts blaming her for him being so agitated. Yes.
Right, and then number 2 in the cycle, just so we know, number 2 is the incident. Any type of abuse occurs. It might be physical, sexual, emotional, whatever.
Yes. Sometimes the abuser will have one go-to abuse to start with, and then it leads to all the others. But yes, usually they'll have one where he just hits her or starts speaking to her in a derogatory way. And again, like I said, telling her it's her fault. She's the one that has a problem.
All right, and then number 3 in the cycle is the making up. This is when they try to undo everything, right?
Right. I'll never do it again. I'm sorry. Again, you made me do it. I don't know what I was thinking. Please forgive me. That'll never happen again. That's not who I am. Okay, and then the 4th, you come around, and then this is the calm after the storm. Right.
Then everything is just normal, right?
Right.
It's like it never happened.
To show her this is really who I am. I'm not that person.
Okay,
this is really who I am.
And then you go back to number 1, tension starts building.
Right.
Then the abuse. It's a circle. It just goes around and around and around. And when you described to me what was going on, and even when he described to me what was going on, this is exactly what you were describing, correct?
Correct.
Does each of those distinctly happen with you?
Yes.
So we didn't make this up for you to describe what was happening with you. This was put together based on research across years and years and years of the way abusers interact with their partners. You just happen to fit it like a key in a lock. So that's what's happening with you. You recognize this?
Oh, yes. Yes.
Now, and here's the thing. It tends to get worse, not better, if something doesn't happen to change it. And that's what I'm concerned about. Well, Dominic is here, and I have some questions for him. I'm really curious how much he's willing to own this, how many excuses he makes for this, how much he's willing to step up and say, yeah, I do it, I shouldn't, but I do, or whether he blames. I want to know what he has to say about this. There's no question that it's happening. How much is he willing to own? We're going to find out immediately after the break. You've hit her before.
Correct.
You've yelled at her.
Yes.
Called her names.
I know when I'm gonna get angry, I just don't know how to suppress it.
Laura says her daughter Rebecca is a shell of her former self after falling dangerously in love with a rageaholic named Dominic, who has hit her 4 times, punched at least 5 holes in his bedroom walls, banged his own head into the wall. Laura fears there's a danger of Dominic going rogue and getting homicidal. But Dominic says, no. There's a reason for his behavior.
I admit that I have rage issues and I have a hard time controlling my anger. I've been dating Rebecca for about 5 years now. I've been verbally abusive to her. I would call her names like bitch, why you gotta be so stupid. I have been physically abusive. One time I punched her in the leg. I think it's because of the verbal abuse I get from my parents. There's always fighting in my house.
Low-life bastards! Alcoholic! You know what that word means?
I think most of the fighting is because of my mom's alcohol. She's a heavy drinker. She drinks all morning, all day, and all night. The other day, my mom started fighting with me, and she hit me in my face.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom. Yes.
Say yes, Mom, like that to my face.
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom.
My mom is constantly telling me that I'm a worthless piece of I'm a nobody.
Mother angry.
When I get angry, my body heat increases. I have veins coming out of my forehead, and I start to shake, and I just see red. That's a hole in my wall that I put my head through the wall. After a rage episode, I like to go for a walk and roll up a blunt and get high to feel relaxed. I smoke weed every day. A few years ago, I was diagnosed with a brain injury. I believe that the brain injury I have does cause my anger issues.
Dominic, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Are you guys in love?
Yes, I love her.
Do you plan to have a long-term relationship?
I plan to.
Yeah. but the relationship is really volatile, right?
I agree with that, yes.
It's explosive.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get really, really angry, do you feel it coming on?
I shake. I start to shake. My hands get very clammy. And I know when I'm gonna get angry, I just don't know how to suppress it to calm myself down.
Right. You realize it's happening.
Correct.
And you don't want it to happen.
Not at all. I hate that side of me.
You've hit her before.
Correct.
You've yelled at her.
Yes.
Called her names, just derogated her, put her down. How do you feel after the fact?
I feel like, excuse my language, an ass. I feel like that's not the person who I am and know that I want to be.
Here's what I'm trying to balance out. You say you love her, and you say that you have explosive anger.
Yes.
And that you know you can't control it. Why wouldn't you tell her to get as far away from you as she possibly can and stay that way until you get this dealt with?
I actually never even thought about that.
If I knew I had a grenade in my pocket, and I knew that it wasn't if it was going to go off, it's when it's going to go off, I just didn't know when that was.
You want it away from me.
Then I would tell my wife, you need to get away from me and stay away from me because I have a grenade in my pocket and it's going to go off. So you need to get away from me because if it goes off, you're going to get hurt or killed. If you really love her, why wouldn't you do that? I don't get that.
I mean, there is times where I say to get away from me, but I do love her. I never thought of just saying that because that's not. When my mom fights with me, she doesn't tell me to get away. She just keeps going and fights with me. So I don't know how to do that.
Have you had a good effect on her?
I don't know if I can answer that.
At first, you went to college.
Yes.
And how'd you do?
I did. I didn't do so good my first semester, and then me and him broke up. We took a break the second semester.
How'd you do then?
I did better, I have to admit.
Has she changed or not?
Yes, she's changed an enormous amount. It's spinning out of control.
Well, we're going to meet a woman that Dominic calls an alcoholic, nagging, manipulative, well, he's got a long list, who happens to also be his mother. She has a few choice words for him, too. She's a major player in this whole thing, so we're going to meet her after the break.
Dominic has no respect for me whatsoever. You got your hands in your pants in front of your mother. That's disrespectful. Dominic has called me an alcoholic.
Because you were drinking all night.
I enjoy a glass of wine with dinner. It's like I'm Italian, of course. It's one of the most dysfunctional relationships I've ever seen in my life.
Well, I'm here with Laura, who says her daughter, Rebecca, is in a toxic relationship with 19-year-old Dominic. Are you afraid to be honest in front of him?
No.
Because you're talking a little like you're a zombie. You seem like you're kind of in a trance, like you don't want to really say anything. Are you afraid of what's going to happen if you speak up honestly here after you leave?
Yeah, I'm afraid that we're not going to be able to be together.
Laura believes there is danger that Dominic can go rogue and get homicidal. He blames his anger on two things. One, he says he has a lesion in his brain that affects his ability to regulate his emotions. And then he says there's his mother, Marianne. Well, here's what Marianne has to say.
Dominic's anger is a big problem. Dominic is absolutely confrontational with everything.
You're laughing at me. You're laughing at me.
Dominic does whatever Dominic wants to do. Dominic's been forbidden to smoke in the house, but he does it anyway. When Dominic doesn't have weed, he gets very angry.
What the happened when you had the counselor come to the house? Excuse me. What happened when the counselor came to the house?
Dominic has no respect for me whatsoever. You got your hands in your pants in front of your mother. That's disrespectful.
I had shorts on and I was...
I don't care what you got on. Your hand's still holding your When we ask Dominic to do anything around the house, even if it's to take out the garbage, it's like, I'll do it later. I'm tired. About 2 weeks ago, Dominic got so angry that he went downstairs and put his own head through a wall. No sane person puts their own head through a wall.
You were in bed till 4 o'clock.
Because I slept 3 hours!
Because you were drinking all night.
Dominic has called me an alcoholic. I enjoy a glass of wine with dinner. It's like I'm Italian, of course. And I'm not an alcoholic. I have threatened Dominic that I will call the police because I tried to throw him out of the house, and I did not end up calling the police. I know Dr. Phil's gonna yell and say I'm an enabler, and I am, and you're right, I did it. Dominic was diagnosed with a lesion on his brain around the age of 5. I do believe Dominic uses his brain issues as an excuse for not to do something. I feel Rebecca's in some kind of trance, that she just does whatever he says and follows whatever he does. There have been several occasions where I'm speaking to Rebecca and she'll be standing here and he'll be over here, and I'll ask her a question and he starts answering from over there. And I was like, wow, you should really get a job as a ventriloquist. It's one of the most dysfunctional relationships I've ever seen in my life. I think that they could end up killing each other if they get angry enough.
Okay, so you think this is a just really dysfunctional relationship?
Yeah, they're not good for each other.
You say this is dysfunctional. How about the one between you and your son now?
We don't even really have one. We don't talk. What you just heard is basically what goes on every day.
Yeah. Why?
He does what he wants to do. Everything's about Dominic.
You seem to go from zero to screaming maniac pretty quick.
Well, yes and no.
Y'all had a conversation about some pillowcases. Marianne might not have heard this before, but I want you to hear it now. Just an excerpt.
Are you insane? You are psychotic. I already washed the pillowcase. Wash them again! You're telling me I need to wash these again too? Well, now that they hit the floor. This one didn't hit the floor though. It wasn't on the floor. Get the you nasty 2 pillowcases is what this fight is over? Are you out of your mind?
There was a lot that happened before that.
What happened before? The house burned down?
No. No.
To be honest,
He stomped on some baby kittens? What? Tell me what justifies that.
Nothing. It had nothing to do with the pillowcases. It just I asked him to do something because he took the clothes out of the washing machine and it fell on the floor. And the laundry room was dirty because the floor wasn't washed, and I asked him to rewash them. And that's all it was. And he was like, no, they're fine. I was like, just rewash them. What's the big deal?
I was taking them out to fold them, and then you were yelling at me to rewash them.
Because they fell on the floor.
No, they didn't.
Oh my God, are we talking about pillowcases? Seriously? Are we actually talking about pillowcases here? Let's not talk about pillowcases.
I thought we were here about them, and this seems it's what I'm doing.
Oh, we are here about them.
Okay.
And you're part of this.
It didn't used to be like that. Don't shake your head, Dominic.
It's been like this since I was little.
No.
Yes, Mom.
Again, you're lying.
Hey, before we get back to today's program, I want to tell you about what we have coming up on Friday. Now, look, we know alcohol and drug addiction can really take control of your life and can lead to a deadly situation. Shane is on the show, clearly an alcoholic who is drinking so much that it is highly toxic. He has been to the hospital a couple of times with alcohol poisoning before we ever met him. Now, his friend Opie says that he was living on borrowed time. No joke. In fact, just last year, Shane drank himself to the point of turning black and blue in a way that I promise you have never seen before. Take a look.
I've got a problem with drinking alcohol. I've been drinking since 8 o'clock this morning.
In 2018, he had fallen. His face was almost totally black. Things have gotten so bad with Shane that I asked him, the next step is going to be your funeral.
Tonight, when I get ready for bed, I'll probably just pass out, not knowing what is coming tomorrow.
Now, Shane claims that he has no idea why he drinks, and understand he blacks out. So that means he's not there when a lot of things happen that the rest of the people in his life see. And he's been to the hospital with 0.4 plus blood alcohol level. And if you look on the chart, when it says 0.4, out to the side, death probable. At that point, you go into a coma, respiration shuts down, and you die. This is going to be very interesting. What's he going to do about it? That's on Friday. You do not want to miss that. All right, back to this family. Here's an exchange between Dominic and Rebecca that happened right after Dominic argued with his mother over the pillowcases.
Why did you have to start?
I didn't start. They're clean. They're clean.
No.
They're clean.
I'm not talking about that.
Like mother, like son. Mm-hmm. So you do this with him, then he turns around and does this with her, and you wonder why you're concerned.
I'm very concerned.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, we are here about them.
It didn't used to be like that. It's only been the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Don't shake your head, Dominic. It's not true.
It's very true.
It's only been the last few years.
You've been like this since I was little.
No.
Yes, Mom.
It has nothing to do with you smoking pot, getting suspended from school, taking 5 years to finish high school. It has nothing to do with you stealing from the house, the jewelry, the money.
I never
that I had to
stole
put a deadbolt
jewelry.
lock on my bedroom door because you were stealing money and jewelry from me and your father.
I was taking money because every time I asked for money, you wouldn't give me any. And I understand
Get a
that.
job. You need money, get a job.
I had plenty of jobs before that, but every time I had
Plenty
a
of
job,
jobs.
I had to give you my money.
Again, you're lying. This is he lies.
Does any of this concern you?
Yes, it does.
Big concern, little concern?
A big concern. And how his relationship with his mother, his parents, and how it affects me.
I've been doing this for 45 years. I have talked to so many victims of domestic violence that started out exactly like you guys are right now. I do want you to watch, but I do need to warn you that some of the images that you're about to see in the upcoming video are very graphic in nature.
My fiance, Jeremy, will beat me at least once a week. He raped me while I was pregnant.
He started chasing me. All I knew that I needed to do was get away from him.
I'm like doused with like a big pot of oil. And he's like, that's what you get, bitch. And they gave me 48 hours to live.
Brad shot me in the stomach. He started chopping me in the back of the head with a machete.
He reached for a bottle and struck me upside the head, knocking me unconscious. Every bone in my face had been broken.
He threw gasoline at me, grabbed a candle, and I went up in flames.
We saw my dad shoot my mom in the back and stomach.
There was a moment when he said to the children, say goodbye to your mother because you're never going to see her again.
I remember my mom begging for somebody to call 911, and there was nothing I could do to help her.
And every one of them loved her from the core of their soul. But every one of them had a grenade in their pocket. And she was standing there when it went off. There's been a lot of debate over whether Dominic's bouts of anger and rage are really due to a lesion in his brain or just the environment in which he lived. I've invited one of the leading neuroradiologist experts in the entire country to give his opinion on this. I'm talking the best of the best after the break. If you're going to be in the Los Angeles area and want to watch a live taping, visit drphil.com and click tickets. Tickets are free, and I hope to see you soon. Joining us is Dr. Bradley Jabbour. He is the world's leading neuroradiologist with more than 20 years in practice. Now, yesterday, he did a very sophisticated MRI on Dominic's brain at his medical imaging center in Beverly Hills. His center is directly adjacent to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center and has state-of-the-art equipment. Take a look.
I'm here to see Dr. Jabbour today. I know he is a top doctor in this field.
Hi, Dominic. I'm Nicole Jabbour. Welcome to Medical Imaging.
Nice to meet you.
Dr. Jabbour, this is Dominic. Dominic, this is Dr. Jabbour.
See you met my lovely wife.
Oh.
Has she been good to you? Good.
So Dr. Jabbour founded Medical Imaging 30 years ago, and I'm involved as his wife, managing the team on a day-to-day basis. This is our women's imaging facility, and this is the state-of-the-art 3D hologic mammogram unit. This is our PET-CT scanner. We're a great team, and we both have separate roles, but we share the same philosophy, and that's of being a very patient-orientated, hospitable environment.
What do you think is wrong with you?
I just feel like there's like the blood flow in my head is not normal. It depends what you guys can do if you can make it better.
That's the goal today, is for us to try and answer that question for you. Are you ready for this?
I'm ready.
Let's do it. You ready to go into the spaceship?
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, good. What we're doing today is a 3 Tesla MRI using all the latest technology to be able to see both normal and abnormal tissue. Based on his symptoms and what history we have, I would expect there's going to be something significant in the frontal lobe of the brain. Well done. We completed the study, and how do you feel?
Feel good.
There are hundreds of images that we're now going to organize the data, and then we're going to compare it with the old study, and we'll be able to put a report together. Thank you for being such a good patient.
Thank you.
We'll see you tomorrow.
You did this study, and you're prepared to tell us what you found, right?
Yeah.
And he has your permission to talk about this openly,
Of course.
right?
I would love to know.
Let's walk up to the screen here, and if you would just walk us through this quickly. Tell us this first image, what we're looking at.
So what we're looking at here is a 3-dimensional, 3 Tesla MRI of the brain. And as you could see, we cut through the brain to find these 2 popcorn-like lesions in the frontal lobe.
So he does, in fact, still have these lesions that were located before, and these are pockets of blood, correct?
These are abnormal blood vessels with pools of blood in them.
All right, next.
Here we're looking from the front, also a 3D image cutting into the brain the way a neurosurgeon would sort of look at a lesion and find exactly where it is here in the middle frontal gyrus.
Now, there is some good news here in that this is located where it's not really disrupting wiring.
In a way, that's good, but it's also in the gray matter, which tends to cause the epilepsy.
And there has been a seizure, correct?
Yes.
There's been one epileptic seizure.
There's been several. I had 3 so far.
Okay, has there been one that has been major and then you've had others? How many have you had total?
I think I had 4 together.
Okay, next.
So here we're looking at, in 2017, he had a good MRI done back in New York, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we could see there's not just 1 lesion, but 2. Mm-hmm. And the study now shows they have not got bigger. If anything, the area of abnormality is well contained, maybe even smaller, so it does not look like it's out of control.
All right, now this is the blood flow, and this is the normal brain, and this is Dominic's. And we do show some areas that don't have normal blood flow and are less active than what you would want.
Yes, what this is giving us a clue to is that his brain is not metabolically functioning as optimally as it should. Mm-hmm. So you can see in the normal brain there's quite a bit of red representing good blood flow and therefore good brain activity, and he is generally diminished, particularly in the frontal areas which do control emotion.
All right, let's have a seat.
Thanks.
The simple question is, at this point, from what you see, is this a likely explanation for his explosive behavior, or is it not a likely explanation for his explosive behavior? Hold that thought, and we'll let you answer after the break. As you look at this study, is this a very likely primary cause of this explosive behavior and inability to regulate his emotion, or is something else more likely to explain what's going on?
Well, the good news is I don't think that this lesion is causing the explosive behavior. In a way, that's bad news for Dominique, because he was hoping that he could explain it by that, but I don't think it's explainable by this.
I can help you learn to control that anger, express it in a more constructive way, and behave in a mature way where that doesn't have to be a problem for you, and that is 100% doable.
Okay.
And you should not be with him until an independent, objective professional that's working with him tells you that it's safe to do so. You need some help as well, because you have sacrificed your self-esteem and your self-worth and allowed yourself to be put in a subservient position where you've accepted things that there was a day you would have never accepted these things. I think you'll start to see things a little clearer really, really quick. Don't you agree?
Yes.
You agree with what I'm recommending here?
Yes. Is that going to stop him from lying too?
I want to thank all of my guests today. A special thanks to Dr. Bradley Jabbour, Chief Radiologist and owner of the Medical Imaging Center of Southern California in Santa Monica, and now in his newest clinic in Beverly Hills, right across the street from Cedars-Sinai Hospital. If you've got the kind of issues that need the sort of imaging that really matters, I'm telling you, people fly in from all over the world. I'm serious, all over the world, for this man to do the imaging when it matters. For more information about today's show, log on to drphil.com. Don't forget to check me out on all of my social media outlets, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And don't forget to check out my Fill in the Blanks podcast, where I've just started a new series called Relationship Reality Check. And here's a question that it's going to cause you to ask: how much fun are you to live with? Now, in the first one, which is out right now, we talk about your relationship with you, because that's the most important relationship you'll ever have. And if you're not getting along with you, you're not going to get along with anybody. And I believe very strongly in the principle of reciprocity. That is, you put out negative, you're going to get back negative. You put out positive, you put out good energy, you're going to get that back from the world and all the relationships. Now, that's what's out right now, and I've got a brand new one dropping tomorrow. And in that one, we start talking about how to engage this world in a way that you want them to support you. Getting these relationships to move in the direction you want the relationship to go, so it creates passion for you and the person you're in a relationship with. What I want you to do is resolve: I'm not going to live like we've been living, and I'm not quitting either. It's a new day starting now. This is a brand new series that comes out every Tuesday. It's free. It's available on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Castbox, Spotify, or your favorite podcast app. Take a look. You're going to like this. I saw something on my Twitter the other day that made me smile. Azzy on Twitter says, "I'm so glad I grew up watching Dr. Phil. I was getting therapy before I even knew I needed it." Well, Azzy, I'm glad I could be of service. My invoice is in the mail. We'll see you next time.